And welcome to this edition of ACAP Today for the week of December 7th, 2020. I'm Jason Parent with the Aroostook County Action Program. On this week's program, we are going to continue our Maine Leaders Conversation Series. This week, we are very pleased to be joined by Maine's senior senator, Aroostook County's very own Senator Susan Collins. She'll be joining us for the Maine Leaders Conversation Series discussion in just a little bit. But before we get to Senator Collins, we are going to get to this week's news and information you can use. And with that, we begin with some information for the community about our status in terms of our office closures to the public. After a very difficult decision and seeing a spike in COVID cases, we have made the difficult decision to close all ACAP offices to the public. Our early care and education offices, our centers across Aroostook County are monitoring local community COVID concerns and are advising families of their status accordingly. Now, things are changing very rapidly, and we are recording this week's ACAP Today on Monday, December 7th, so I'm not at liberty to share with you what the status of the early care and education centers are, because they are changing again very rapidly, and they are different from the top of Aroostook County down to Dyer Brook, where our facility is located in the Southern Aroostook school system. We encourage, if you have any questions about our early care and education classrooms, to call your local center and to check in with them. But please be advised that our offices where we interface with the public, especially at the 771 Main Street facility near Walmart in Presque Isle and the Military Street facility in Holton, are closed to the public. In both Presque Isle and Holton, there is a banner above the door, as you can see in the photo here, and we encourage you to call that number when you arrive there. There are individuals working in the facility, and they will be able to receive you. We're also able to get information and take information from you to be photocopied. We have window service available at both locations, or can send someone out to your vehicle. That's why it's important that you call the number there. There are also video doorbells at both facilities in Holton and Presque Isle, as well as in Fort Kent. And we encourage you to use those if you go as a member of the public to any of those buildings. We'll work with you remotely. We also, as a result of the increased cases in COVID, we want to remind everyone that mask wearing is more important than it has ever been. With the community transmission happening in several communities, the mask is an opportunity to help protect you from contracting COVID-19. We here at ACAP understand that, and we don't want not being able to access a mask for whatever reason to be an impediment for you. And though our facilities are closed to the public, you can come to our facilities in Presque Isle, Holton, or Fort Kent. Fort Kent is in the industrial park, and ask for a free mask. We will provide one for you and any member of your household that cannot otherwise access one. They are cloth masks, just like the one you see here in the picture that Gloria Duncan is wearing in this photo here. Please do consider taking us up on this offer. If you are out and about in public, you need to wear a mask, and we can provide you with one. Just go to any one of those three facilities and ring the video doorbell or call the number in Presque Isle or Holton, and we will make arrangements to get a mask out to you right then and there if we can through the window. We also recognize that as the COVID cases spike here in Aroostook County, that more people may be facing challenges. Employment status may change or things of that nature. And we want to remind you that we do have navigators here at ACAP that can help you navigate programs and services that you might not otherwise be aware of. Please consider using us in that regard. If you are in need of a navigator, or if you are just questioning what services might be available to you, you can reach us at 764-3721, and a navigator would be happy to assist you and connect you or advise you about the proper services that might be available and accessible to you. We wanted to share with you that, as we did last week, that our 2020 ACAP Community Assessment has been completed and is now published. It is available on our website. You can download it directly from our website. If you prefer to receive a paper copy, we have a limited supply here at our office in Presque Isle. Give us a call and we can either mail one to you or make arrangements to have you pick one up in our Dropbox or through our window here at 771 Main Street. We are encouraging all community stakeholders to use the full report. It is not a document that is just meant for ACAP, but it is truly meant to be a community assessment, and members of the public are welcome to pick it up as our partners with other organizations. So we certainly encourage you to do that. In addition to the community assessment, we have a couple of other publications that we have just released. Our 2020 Impact Report, which shows our service to Aroostook County throughout the year 2020, from actually October 1st, 2019 through September 30th, 2020. Certainly on the cover, as indicated, has been a year like no other, and we're happy to share that publication with you. We will be mailing it out to several community stakeholders in the coming weeks, but if you are not on that list or would want to ensure that you receive it, please contact Sherry Locke here at ACAP at 554-4130. In addition to that publication, our 2021 Directory of Services is now available for the community. We are glad to provide you with copies of that as well. Please contact Sherry if you would like those. Those will also be being distributed to municipalities throughout Aroostook County in the coming weeks as well. We also wanted to remind folks of the COVID-19 rental relief program this week. The funding was extended through the month of December. We do need to advise folks that we have received hundreds of applications. As a matter of fact, there were over 250 in the queue waiting for processing, so please do be patient with us. Our typical wait time on processing for these, after we've been able to work with the landlord and with you as the renter to make sure that you're approved and processing payment can happen, is a couple of weeks. So we encourage you to please wait and not call us, because the folks who are going to take those calls are also the ones who are completing the applications. We've added some additional staff capacity to taking the applications, but again, it's a process to go through, and we're working as quickly as possible. And we realize that the calendar is now reading December, but please do explain to your landlord that you are working through this process, and we are as well. If you have any questions about the program, it's best to go online. mainehousing.org and also the ACAP website has some frequently asked questions that are answered right there on the Maine Housing site, and the application is also accessible through both sites as well. Speaking of programs that we are very busy with right now, the Home Energy Assistance Program is certainly another one. And we are conducting all of those interviews over the phone at this point, as we have set up to do so this season, and working to get all documentation through the mail or by dropping off documents at our local centers, and we can still accept those through the window or send somebody out to your vehicle to get them. It takes about 30 days after we receive all of your documents to certify them. So if you're feeling that there's a delay, that's often the reason why. And if we're missing anything, we will call you, the applicant, to make sure that we are working with you diligently to get everything that we need to hopefully get you certified. The income guidelines for the Home Energy Assistance Program over the last 2 years have increased greatly, and we think thousands more county households may be eligible. We encourage you to call to schedule an appointment. We are scheduling out into the beginning of the new year, but it is well worth it, as any benefit you receive will stay on your fuel vendor account for 18 months or until it's exhausted. So please do consider, if you think you might qualify for HEAP, the income eligibility guidelines are actually available right on our website, and you can check out to see if your annual income and the number of people in your household aligns with potential eligibility, and certainly call us to schedule an appointment if you think you might qualify. We have just this week left as the last full week of open enrollment. It does run through the 15th of December, which is next Tuesday. If you are in need of assessing how your health insurance, if you have it currently, or if you don't have it, especially if you don't have it, to call us. The team of healthcare navigators across the state of Maine, including Stan Targonski here at ACAP, can also advise you on whether you may be eligible for Maine Care or not, and talk to you about the process of applying for Maine Care. But most people do qualify for the health insurance marketplace are actually surprised at the affordability, the relative affordability of it. So please contact Stan Targonski at our main number here at ACAP, or at his email address, stargonski@acap-me.org. He is working remotely with folks, but if people need to go in for an appointment, the Hope and Prosperity Resource Center will allow you in to work on the computer with Stan, who will be working with you remotely. But again, the last of the appointments is going to be, the last of the eligibility time period is December 15th. So please do call us today to schedule your appointment before then. The programs here at ACAP are many and varied, and one of them is a program that we work on with community organizations and businesses to help develop tobacco-free policies. If your workplace is interested in engaging with us in this work, we would be happy to. It's a free service, and in addition to the service of developing those tobacco policies, which businesses are required to establish, we also will provide you with free signage, such as the ones shown here on your screen, once you go through that training, and we'd be happy to provide you with that. So please contact Chastity Holland at cholland@acap-me.org to help update your tobacco or establish your tobacco policy at your workplace. We are happy to work with you again, and this is a free service to organizations and businesses in Aroostook County. And if you are a smoker, or if you are in a workplace and want to quit smoking, a workplace establishing a new policy, we also have a program for that. Elaine Sipe is our tobacco cessation specialist, and she is available as we get ready to look into a new year. Many people may want to pick up stopping smoking as a New Year's resolution for 2021. Elaine can certainly help. She provides free things like quit kits. She also hosts virtual meetings right now, helps you make a plan to establish a quit date, which again, January 1st is just around the corner, and also can connect you with free nicotine replacement therapies. All of that is available through Elaine Sipe at ACAP. Call her at 227-2348 or eSipe at acap-me.org are the best ways to get in touch with her, or just call our main number and we will make sure that you get a contact from Elaine Sipe. Our workforce investment boards across the state of Maine, and ACAP as a workforce provider, workforce regional provider, are offering, in partnership with those across the state, a number of workshops. Those are continuing into the new year. They include interviewing tips and tricks, making career choices, working on resume letters and cover letter development, and also job preparation and retaining a job. If you would like to know more about these, please give us a call here at ACAP and we can help you get connected to sign up for these. They're offered completely online and they're taught by a qualified group of leaders across the state of Maine that do this work day in and day out. It's a great way to reach the community at this point if you're looking to help in your employment search as we get through COVID-19. This is an ideal time to sharpen your skills. So please give us a call if we can be of assistance in this regard. We also, speaking of our team and joining a team, we have a number of positions opening here at ACAP, and we would love to receive your application. If you think that you might be interested in this position or any of those listed on our website, please look us up at acap-me.org and check it out and begin the process. We'd love to have new members join our team here at ACAP. And we also want to thank, speaking of people and members on our team currently, our brand new ACAP board chair, who was elected at our annual meeting on November 24th. She is Trudy Gorno. Trudy is a community leader, and she knows certainly firsthand the impact of our agency. In addition to marking her 15th year on the ACAP board, which 2020 is, Trudy brings to her role more than 3 decades of direct engagement and a lifetime of passionate commitment to make life better here in Aroostook County. She's had children and grandchildren go through our early care and education programs and certainly has a passion for the work that we do. And we welcome her as our new board chair and thank her for her dedicated service to the agency for 15 years as a board member and much longer than that in terms of involving her family in our work here at ACAP. So thank you, Trudy. And we also want to recognize and congratulate 2 members of our ACAP team, 2 members of our staff, Jamie Chandler, our Chief Operating Officer, shown here on your screen side by side with Amy Murchison, our Program Coordinator, who both recently received Roma certification as Roma implementers. And Roma, by the way, is not an Italian dish. It is results-oriented management and accountability, and it is part of the work that we do here at ACAP that's very important to ensure that we are meeting the needs of the community and establishing programs within our organization that do just that. And so congratulations to Jamie and Amy, our newest Roma implementers in the state of Maine. We also want to thank, we did this last week, but it certainly bears repeating, our employees who are celebrating milestone years of service with the agency, 265 years of combined service by the individuals whose faces that you're seeing on the screen, many of whom are all of whom now are masked faces, but these were taken before that. And so we congratulate our employees from 5 all the way up to 35 years of service. Again, 265 years of combined experience. The community closet, especially as the cold sets in and now with what appears to be snow on the ground for the long haul, including the community coats project, which is right outside of the community closet, is available at our 771 Main Street Presque Isle facility. It's a 24/7 operation where you leave what you can and take what you need, whether you bring clothing items, or you need a coat or what have you, you can feel free to take whatever is there, or please bring us, if you're cleaning out your closets, please bring us unwanted or outgrown clothing items. Our volunteers here take care of getting everything organized. You can just drop off the clothing after hours and we'll get it all sorted out the next day, but we encourage you to use it. It's right on the front of our building, underneath the overhang by the door, all the way on the east side of the building or to the left as you're looking at the front of the ACAP building. And we encourage you to use this as needed and help us help others as needed. And speaking of ways that we're helping the community right in that very same area, our community cupboard is available, also operating on the give what you can, take what you need principle. It is a mini pantry with non-perishable food items that provides folks with immediate assistance if they're food insecure at that moment, not intended to take the place of a local food pantry, but to be there during off hours and when you're not able to access your local food pantry or any other food resource. We are pleased that United Way of Aroostook has signed back on as our sponsor of the month for the month of December, and thank them very much for doing that. And speaking of our community cupboard, during this time of year, we typically are working with the St. Apollonia Dental Clinic on the Festival of Trees, which would have otherwise been this past weekend at Northern Maine Community College, but is yet another victim of the COVID-19 pandemic. And so with that, we typically have built a tree out of cereal and encourage local grocers to help us match the tickets, every ticket in the buckets that are in the bucket in front of our tree at the St. Apollonia, the Festival of Trees. Unfortunately, without the Festival of Trees happening this year, that vital resource of cereal, which is very helpful through the winter months, it's not an item that freezes, for the community cupboards across Aroostook County. We were not doing the St. Apollonia Festival of Trees only because it wasn't happening, but we still reached out to our area grocers, and we're reaching out to all of you in the community as well. Please consider making a donation to our community cupboard. You can drop non-perishable food items, especially this time of year, things that won't freeze. So canned items are not as easy this time of year, but things like cereals or breads or things of that nature that won't be impacted negatively by the elements. So please do consider giving what you can to our community cupboard. In the meantime, we want to thank the folks at Grave Shop and Save, one of the grocers still participating and helping us by donating cereal this time of year, with Dawn Samia from Grave Shop and Save in this picture with Shannon Hill, who has been our project lead on the Festival of Trees cereal tree over the past few years. And we thank Graves and we thank Shannon for her great work on this project. And with that, that's this week's news and information that you can use. Thank you so much for listening in. And we are so pleased to welcome to our Maine Leaders Conversation Series, Aroostook County's own, and I would say the history-making, U.S. Senator Susan Collins from her Washington, D.C. office. Senator Collins, welcome, and thank you for taking the time to speak with me.
Thank you so much, Jason. And I'm a big admirer of the work that you and your team at ACAP do, and I'm delighted to join you.
Well, we're a big fan of the work you do as well, Senator Collins, so thank you so much. The first question we're asking our Maine leaders is, as you reflect on 2020, the year that almost was, and I think the year we're hoping will all be soon was, what are your thoughts and reflections?
Well, this was a very difficult year for our state, for our country. We had to deal and are still dealing with a pandemic, the likes of which we've never seen before, that has cost so many lives and also caused economic devastation throughout our country. And Maine has not been immune from either of those developments. As I speak with you today, we have exceeded 200 deaths in our state as a result of COVID-19. And every day I hear from small businesses telling me that they are having a difficult time holding on, that the program protection, the Paycheck Protection Program that I authored had been a lifeline to them, but they need additional assistance, and that's what I'm working on. So it's really been an unprecedented year in many ways, and I think all of us will be glad to see it come to an end.
Senator, there's so much to look at in 2021 in terms of the priorities that you set. And I guess I'm interested, and I think folks are interested in learning, how do you set that when you look at such an extraordinary agenda ahead of you? I know that you've got some tremendous opportunities in representing the state of Maine in leadership positions in DC, but how do you make those critical decisions in 2021?
A lot of my priorities are set by talking to the people I represent. Our state has many challenges, whether it's economic issues or inequalities among regions. I think the pandemic has really focused us on the impact of the differences in availability of broadband, for example. And rural areas of the state have been at a real disadvantage when it comes to educating children at home, allowing people to access telemedicine or to work remotely. And so one of my priorities is to lessen that disparity between urban and rural areas by expanding access to reliable broadband in the rural areas of our state. Healthcare is an issue no matter what part of the state I'm in. It's not only ensuring access to healthcare, whether it's for our veterans or our seniors or for families, but also ensuring that access is available to people regardless of the cost of healthcare. There are times when I've been able to help individuals who have healthcare problems. For example, I'm thinking of a 13-year-old girl from Aroostook County who had has a very rare genetic disease that causes her not to have her permanent teeth. And her insurance company turned down the reimbursement. I was able to work with the University of New England to help her and her family afford this very important treatment for her physical health and her emotional well-being as well. The cost of prescription drugs is a high priority for me. I've had 2 bills signed into law, but there's so much more that needs to be done, including putting a cap on out-of-pocket costs for our seniors who are participating in the Medicare Part D program. And of course, transportation issues, jobs, and the economy are always on the top of my priority list.
So a huge list, and I must say that in that answer you just exemplified. I was reading about an article just after your reelection. Congratulations, by the way, a history-making one. The 5th consecutive term, and the first time a Maine senator has been elected for a 5th consecutive term. So congratulations. But in that answer, you just typified a Senator Susan Collins statement. You both have your fingers on the pulse at the national level of what we need to do, but also in terms of understanding the people of Maine. You were able to recount the story of a 13-year-old girl from Aroostook County. That connection for you is very important as you look to become either the chair of the Appropriations Committee or at the very least the ranking member of your party. How do you do that? That's just an incredible talent that you have.
Well, I really care about the people that I represent, and I work hard to serve them. I work each and every day. We've just come back from our Thanksgiving recess, and it was over that recess that I literally worked every day, much to the dismay of my husband at times, even Thanksgiving, with a group of senators to put together a bipartisan, bicameral package. So House members, Senate members, Democrats, Republicans, to help with the COVID crisis, because we do need additional assistance on everything from unemployment insurance to helping our rural hospitals to my priority of a second round of the Paycheck Protection Program, which has been so successful in saving 250,000 jobs in our state. But there are a lot of small businesses that are barely hanging on, particularly our restaurants, and they need a second PPP loan. So I am looking forward. I'm also very much in the midst of negotiations on the Appropriations Committee. I'm pleased to say that my Transportation and Housing Subcommittee has come to an agreement with our House counterparts, but we need to get all of the appropriations bills passed by December 11th in order to avoid either a government shutdown, which is disastrous, or another continuing resolution, which is funding at current levels, which aren't necessarily the levels you need. Sometimes they're too high, sometimes they're too low. So we need to get our appropriations work done too. And I am looking forward to being next in line and in 2 years to being the chairman of the Senate Appropriations Committee. That's the most powerful committee position in the Senate.
Great. I'm cognizant of the time. I just have a couple more questions for you. One is bipartisan. You are the most bipartisan senator in this country. And just again, this week, you demonstrated that as being part of the gang that is working on the new stimulus bill that you'd like to work through. What is that work like right now in DC? I know that in the last few years, that's been especially challenging. Are you seeing a light at the end of the tunnel, and are good bipartisan things happening?
I am. I'm encouraged by our ability to put together this COVID relief emergency package. And that's a good sign. It's Democrats and Republicans. And as I said, it's also both chambers of Congress, which is even more unusual. And we are working together in the interests of American people. You know, I grew up in Aroostook County where I learned not only to work hard, but to work together. And I believe that the best legislation is produced when you listen to people on both sides of the aisle, try to accommodate their concerns. It's not always possible, but surely when we're in the midst of a terrible pandemic, we ought to be able to work together and put aside partisan considerations and instead apply common sense.
Great. And lastly, before I ask you what you're resolving for 2021, the whole family approach or two-generation approach is one that you're very passionate about. You have proposed legislation for it. We hosted you in late August at our Holton facility. And I listened back to your priorities about connecting people with healthcare and employment and the like. And that's really what that whole family approach is all about. You've got John Hickenlooper from Colorado, who was a chief architect in that state of that work, joining you in the Senate this year. And I know that you and Senator Heinrich from New Mexico have been chief proponents of that. That's still very much a passionate part of your work, isn't it?
It absolutely is. And again, I salute the work that you're doing at ACAP to help connect families and to look at the whole family. If someone comes in to apply for the low-income heating assistance program, you should be able to ask whether the children might benefit from Head Start or early Head Start, or whether the parent might benefit from a job training program or substance abuse assistance. We need a whole family approach. Every family is different. And there are many programs that are designed to help bring families out of poverty. But as you know well, they're often siloed. And to be able to avoid violating privacy laws or other rules or regulations, to ask people, what do you need? How can we help you? And looking at the needs of the whole family, not just the children, not just the parents, but the whole family is the key, in my view, to lifting people out of poverty and giving them the opportunity to achieve self-sufficiency, which is our goal.
That couldn't have said it better myself. Thank you so much. And the last question for all of our Maine leaders is, what are you resolving in 2021?
Well, in 2021, I'm going to resolve to be even more grateful than I am for all that I have personally, for my family, for my friends, for my wonderful state that I have the privilege to continue serving. And a lot of times I think I'm so caught up in working so hard that I don't stop and take time to be grateful for having the opportunities that I have, for having a wonderful husband, a great dog, and a wonderful family in Aroostook County and elsewhere in the state of Maine and elsewhere in the country. And so I'm going to try to stress gratitude in 2021.
Well, I'll model it for you by saying thank you. We are very grateful for all that you do and grateful for the time that you've taken between the votes. I certainly would not want to be the one responsible for your missing your perfect record as it relates to voting. So thank you very much for your time and for all of your leadership for the entire state of Maine and certainly on behalf of the people of Aroostook County.
Thank you, Jason.
And indeed, we do thank Senator Collins for joining us for this Maine Leaders Conversation Series webisode of ACAP Today. We are very grateful for her time. We will be back next week with another guest on our Maine Conversation Leaders Series. But before we leave you, we wanted to remind you that if you are in need of any assistance at all or have questions about our services or don't even find yourself aware of what our services are and want to know what might be available for you both through ACAP and other programs, please do contact us. Reach out by phone at 764-3721 or by email at info@acap-me.org. You can also visit our website. It's a great resource and has much information on there about our programs and services. That's acap-me.org. You can also check us out on Facebook. Our communications and development team does a fantastic job keeping the community updated through social media on Facebook. We are also available on Twitter and our YouTube channel where you can view past webisodes of ACAP Today, including our continuing Maine Leaders Conversation Series. And finally, before we leave you today, a special thank you and a shout out to our snapshot of the week, Rena Thibodeau. As we've said, we are celebrating milestone employees into the holiday season, those who have served with ACAP and are reaching 5-year milestones, impressive milestones such as Rena for 35 years. Rena leads us and has led us spiritually, at least, through our Fort Kent Center for many years, for 35 to be exact. One of her fond memories of her time with us, as challenging as it was back in 2008 when the entire center was underwater. Our center was in the floodplain and across the street from the church in the basement level of that building. And Miss Rena helped not only move us out of that facility, but move us into our new facility now on Alfalfa Avenue in the industrial park in Fort Kent. She also remembers a time when a little girl who was on her first day looked at her right around nap time when they were pulling out their cots that they sleep on at nap time and said, "Miss Rena, where's your bed?" Obviously wanting to Miss Rena to lay down and take a nap as well. And then lastly, Rena fondly thinks about our agency days, which we hope to bring back in 2021 after we had to go virtual this past year. It's the one-day year, I call it our work Christmas, where all ACAP employees come together for a day of learning, but a day of connecting with one another. And it's a great time and a great day. And I too miss those agency days, Rena, and look forward to 2021. So with that, thank you all for joining us on this edition of ACAP Today. We'll be back next week, as I noted, with another one of our Maine Leader Conversations, and we'll see you then. Have a great week, everyone.